testimony. Yep. Hare Krishna. It's a great pleasure to be back with you in Arlington Hills, Gopijanala Temple. The last time I was here was when you installed the deities. And I had in my mind how beautiful the deities were, but I had forgotten how beautiful they were. Something I knew, that they were very beautiful, and then when I saw them again, how they're dancing, it's so beautiful, very unique and special. To see your devotional service is also most inspiring. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Vrindavan, he had a long desire to go to Vrindavan, and he tried many times to go, and there were different challenges. Finally, he was able to go, and he went first to Mathura, and he was there in the temple of Keshava. And there was a Vaishnava who was dancing in ecstasy. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also danced with him in ecstasy, and together they were chanting the holy name and dancing ecstatically before the deity of Krishna in Mathura. And then afterwards, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Who are you?" He was a brahmana, local brahmana. He said, "I feel like you have some connection to Madhavendra Puri." And he said, "Oh, yes, I'm Madhavendra Puri's disciple." So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered him full Dandavat pranams. And his mom said, "Hey, why? You are a sannyasi, I'm a grihasta, why are you offering your obeisances to me?" And he said, "You are the godbrother of my spiritual master, and so for me, you are like my guru." But then they spoke about Madhavendra Puri, how Madhavendra Puri had come to Mathura, had stayed in his house. But there was a flavor of devotional service, a flavor of ecstatic love, ecstatic prema, and to sing Harinam, to sing the holy name, and to become joyful and blissful in singing this holy name, and to express it by dancing ecstatically as well. And so when I see you dancing ecstatically in the kirtan, singing the holy name, and then I'm thinking, you are disciples of Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada's followers. There is a certain flavor of ecstatic bhakti that has been given to us by them, and then you see the devotees dancing ecstatically, and you know, oh, this is that flavor of love for Krishna. So thank you very much for reminding me of Prabhupada and of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Guru Varga, Guru Parampara. It's a certain current of love for Krishna that flows in this parampara, and I'm seeing it and feeling it in your ecstatic devotional service. Jaya Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Dev Gopal Bhatta Rasa Raghunath Sarva Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Names Goho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhatta ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Govina Shamput Radha Kiri Govarna ki jai. Gangadev ki Yamuna Dev ki Vasudev ki Bhakti Dev ki Advaita Bhakta ki jai. Gaur Bhatta Glory to the Son of the Glory to the Son of the Glory to the Son of the Glory to Shri Shri Glory to Shri Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 This morning we're reading from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 4. Text 28. Sabadharyasya karpanyam. Sabadharyasya karpanyam. Vivikyat vivikthadyatmadarshana. Vivikthadyatmadarshana. Vimuktatma tanum goram. Vimuktatma tanum goram. Ityokta vimumochaha. Vityokta vimumochaha. Translation. The Lord, who can distinctly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, "Cast off this impure body of yours." Thus commanded by the Lord Brahma cast off his body. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord is described here by the word Vimuktadhyatma Darshana. Viviktadhyatma Darshana. If anyone can completely perceive another's distress without doubt, it is the Lord himself. If someone is in distress and wants to get relief from his friend, sometimes it so happens that his friend does not appreciate the volume of distress he is suffering. But for the Supreme Lord, it is not difficult. The Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, is sitting within the heart of every living being, and he directly perceives the exact causes of distress. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto. I am sitting in everyone's heart, and because of me, one's remembrance and forgetfulness occur. Thus, whenever one fully surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, one finds that he is sitting within one's heart. He can give us direction, how to get out of dangers or how to approach him in devotional service. The Lord, however, asked Brahma to give up his present body because it had created the demoniac principle. According to Shraddha Swami, Brahma's constantly dropping his body does not refer to his actually giving up his body. Rather, he suggests that Brahma gave up a particular mentality. Mind is the subtle body of a living entity. We give up the sinful thought. We may sometimes be absorbed in some thought which is sinful. But if we give up the sinful thought, it may be said we gave up the body. Brahma's mind was not in correct order when he created the demons. It must have been full of passion because the entire creation was passionate. Therefore, such passionate sons were born. It follows that any father and mother should be careful while begetting children. The mental condition of a child depends on the mental status of the parents at the time he is conceived. According to the Vedic system, therefore, the Garbhodhana Samskara, or ceremony for giving birth to a child, is observed. Before begetting a child, one has to sanctify his perplexed mind. When the parents engage their minds in the lotus feet of the Lord, and in such a state, the child is born, naturally good devotee children come. When the society is full of such good population, there is no trouble from demoniac mentalities. Om Gyan Timanandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Darati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddha Paragamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitantam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Paritana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tabda Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kribha Sindhu Yevacha Patithanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this chapter of Brahma, he is creating different beings. This third canto of the Bhagavatam describes Brahma's practices or processes of creation. He prays to Vishnu for creative potency. He understands that's his duty after searching for knowledge, searching to understand himself, climbing from the top of the lotus down the lotus stem, searching for his origin, and unable to find the answer to his question. Who is he? What is he doing? What is his duty? Where is he from? Where is everything from? He comes to the end of his empirical search without any answer, but then receives some guidance. Tapa, go inward, meditate, withdraw your senses inwardly as a tapasya, and you will receive the answers. And so he did this for an extended period of time, and he heard the sound of transcendence. He received the Gayatri mantra. Brahma Samhita describes he heard the sound of Krishna's flute within his heart, and that sound was Gayatri mantra. And by meditating on that sound, he realized the Veda. Bhagavatam, second canto, has him having some dialogue, some discussion with Krishna. He asks some questions, and then Krishna gives him some answers that are the essence of all Vedic knowledge, essentially. Who is Krishna? Who is the living entity? And Krishna explains his position. He explains the position of the living entity and the world. And he also explains the process to become free of conditioned life and awaken our eternal loving relationship with the Lord. So after this receiving of transcendental knowledge, Brahma understands he has a duty, a seva to do, and that is to create. And so he prays for this creative potency. He's invested with the creative potency. He's also concerned that he'll be afflicted by Maya. As he engages with the world, he will interact with the material nature, with the Prakriti, and be influenced by it. And he has some assurance, you will be protected. If you remain humble, and if you remain prayerful, and if you remain conscious that this is a seva, you will be protected. And so he undertakes this creative process. It is described in earlier chapters 11 to 17. There's a description how he's creating rishis, and he's creating, he's asking them to help him procreate the universe. He creates the Santa Kumaras, and he asks them, please procreate the universe. And they say, no, Father, we will not do that. We will only take to transcendence. And he becomes angry, tries to control his anger, and from his forehead appears Rudra, his personified anger, as Shiva. And this Rudra is crying, and Lord Brahma, he gives him this name, Rudra, and he gives him, he expands, and Brahma gives him Rudranis, I think, yeah. He gives him some Rudra and Rudrani, and they reside in different places. This child is crying, who am I, where am I to reside? You are Rudra, you will reside in different places. And he asks Rudra to also help him to procreate, but from this Rudra, those that are created, they are very destructive. The creations of Rudra are very destructive. And so Brahma says, okay, it's all right, you don't need to procreate, you go and meditate. Your influence is very destructive, better you should meditate instead of trying to help me create the universe. Your time will come, but for the time being, you meditate. And so here, Brahma, he's continuing this creative process. There's been some change in his mind, and we see he's creating ghosts and goblins and demons, and he's very distressed. What are all these creations? They are harassing him as well. And so he's very disturbed, and he prays to Krishna what to do. And so he's being given some guidance here. The Lord, who can distinctly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, cast off the impure body of yours. Thus commanded by the Lord, Brahma cast off his body. So how is he receiving this guidance? It's in the heart. Prabhupada has explained in his book. We'll discuss 3 topics here today. One is the instruction of the Lord given in the heart. The other is the mind and the power of the mind. And the third we will discuss, Prabhupada has made some comment about our creations. He's referring specifically to, for grihastas, the children that we create, but they can apply broadly as well. Whatever creativity we have in the world, it will be influenced by our consciousness. So to begin, Prabhupada is saying, the Lord is described as present in the heart. He can perceive others' distress. Prabhupada quotes this verse, very famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivisho, matas mitir jnanam napovanam cha. Krishna says, I am seated in the hearts of all living beings. From me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. What is his role there, seated in the hearts of all living beings? He is antaryami. He is the indwelling witness. He is the witness of our thoughts, actions, behaviors. Prabhupada tells a story how when he was studying in college in Calcutta as a young man, he was studying in Scottish Churches College. So a British-run college run by missionaries. I think they were Presbyterian missionaries. And they were trying to teach these young Indian Bengali students Western values. And so they would also criticize, sometimes they would criticize Vedic teachings as well. So the professor, he was speaking, he said this Hindu idea of karma. He says if there is a crime and there is some judgment, there should be a witness. Without the witness, then how can there be a judgment? And so you have this idea in Hinduism of karma, that is some judgment that has been cast on you, but where is the witness? And Prabhupada, he later told, he said, in my mind, I was listening and I was thinking, Paramatma is the witness. Jitatmana prasantasya paramatma samahita. He's in the heart of all living beings, witnessing our activities. Why is he saying there is no witness? But out of respect for his professor, he kept quiet. He didn't say anything. But he was thinking, this professor, he doesn't know. Paramatma, he is there, he is the witness of all of our activities. And that is being tallied by Paramatma. He's responding to our will, to our desires, according to our karma, what we have in store, what is our credit, then material nature can make available to us through Paramatma's sanction. And so, Paramatma is in the heart of every living being. There is Anu Atma and Paramatma, small soul and supreme soul. Anu Atma is in the heart of you and me, one individual Anu Atma. That is its own individual heart. But Paramatma is the same one, unity, the united singular principle of the Supreme Lord present in the heart of every being. So one part is there individually in each body, and this one part is aware only of this one body. You are aware of this one body that you are inhabiting. But Paramatma is aware of everybody. In everyone's heart, conscious of everyone's previous activities, desires, intents, motivations, fears, concerns. And so not just human beings, but animals, plants, amoebas, microbes, also higher beings, devatas, rishis, gandharvas, siddhas, charanas, also lower beings, demons and rakshasas and yakshas. So Paramatma is present everywhere throughout this universe and every universe. And so like this, Paramatma is an internet linking everything. Supreme consciousness linking all consciousness. And just one way that we can think about it, because nowadays we know what is an internet. So we can use a modern analogy to understand something of Paramatma and supreme consciousness. Yogis, they're able to link with Paramatma. They're able to connect with Paramatma through yoga, Paramatma yoga. By meditation on the Supreme, they're able to connect with supreme consciousness, and therefore they can be Trikalagya. They know past, present, and future, because supreme consciousness knows past, present, future. He's aware of everything. And so the yogis that link with Paramatma, they also become Trikalagya. They know 3 phases of time. Everything that has happened in the past, all that is now, all that will be. You and I, we can also hear and link and connect with Paramatma. In fact, we are doing it because he tells us, Sarvasya chaham hridisani vishto matas smitir jnanam apohanam cha. I am giving you knowledge. I am giving you remembrance. I am giving you forgetfulness. We are linking with Paramatma, but unconsciously. Yogis are linking consciously, and they're also achieving super consciousness. And we are linking unconsciously, and we have a random, random bursts of inspiration and foggy brain, forgetfulness, and then remembrance again. Because we are linking with Paramatma, it is not clear. We don't have a clear channel. We don't have a clear access. But Brahma, he's able to receive the signal. And we can as well, if we consciously pray. If you need some guidance, you can also pray to Chaitya Guru. Chaitya Guru means the Guru in the heart. You can pray and you can receive guidance and inspiration. So many great geniuses, inventors, they also explain how their discoveries come to them as a flash of inspiration. Einstein saw his formula for the theory of relativity in a dream. He woke up and wrote it down. The math for that formula did not exist. It took 100 years for the math to arrive at that point of being able to decipher or correlate with Einstein's formula for relativity. So where did the idea come from? He said in a dream, it was given to him. Obviously, a very intelligent person, he's pondering these questions, and as he's asking this question, Paramatma has given an answer to him in a dream. And so his credit is that he asked the right questions and Paramatma responded with some brilliant formula that he was able, his credit is that he was able to capture it. But it took scientists 800 years to actually develop the mathematical formulas that can arrive at the place of Einstein's theory. Similarly, there are the composer Mozart, one of the most famous musician composers of all times. He said that his compositions come to him fully orchestrated. He will walk in the park and he will hear the symphony. There are the violins, there are the flutes, there's the cello, there's the alto, there's the percussion, and then he will take out the pen and write it down. Similarly, different authors, they will say that their book, their novel, their play, their story was given to them. And so depending on the question we're asking, we are getting different responses from Paramatma. Baladev Vidyabhushana, he wrote a commentary on Vedanta. Prabhupada, he dedicates his Chaitanya Charitamrita to Baladev Vidyabhushana, who has so nicely explained Vedanta in his Govinda Bhashya. Baladev Vidyabhushana has written this Govinda Bhashya, but he's called it as Govinda Bhashya, not as Baladev's Bhashya. We have Ramanuja's Bhashya, we have Shankara's Bhashya, we have Madhva's Bhashya, and then we have Govinda Bhashya written by Baladev Vidyabhushana. Why not Baladev Bhashya? Because he says in the beginning, this Bhashya was given to me by Govinda, Radha Govinda in Jaipur. I prayed to them. We had some problem, and I went before Radha Govinda Dev. I prayed to them, and I received some guidance, and so I have written Govinda's Bhashya. He also wrote a commentary. That was his explanation of Govinda's Bhashya, because he's not the author of the first work. He's the scribe. The author is Govinda, and then he wrote a commentary to explain Govinda's Bhashya of Vedanta. So we see that this principle, it is applied by Brahma, it is applied by Baladev Vidyabhushana, it is applied by creative geniuses. Edison, the inventor of the light bulb and so many other inventions, he also had a process of invention. And you might be surprised that it didn't involve some, well, I guess trial and error experimentation was part of it, but it also involved going to a room, closing all the doors, not being disturbed, and closing his eyes, slowing his breathing, and basically meditating while asking the question and waiting for the answer, waiting for the response. So Paramatma, he is available to all of us. You can ask him questions. He can give you guidance as well. You might wonder, how do I know if the guidance of Paramatma is really Paramatma and not my mind? That's a good question. And so we must be careful because the mind is also very tricky. We will talk about the mind. Mind is very, can play tricks on us. That is our conditioned nature. And so we must be careful that we don't mistake the conditioned mind for the voice of pure reason given by Paramatma. So that we have a way of verifying triangulation. Triangulation means you check one source against another source, and if there is triangulation, if they tally, they correlate and say, okay, we have accurate reading here. And so our triangulation is Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. If you're receiving some inspiration, some guidance, some insight, and you know this wasn't me, then, but you're also not sure. Maybe it's my mind. Maybe this is a concoction, speculation. So you check. You check with sadhu. You ask the devotee community, this is my realization. I'm not sure. Is this Krishna? Has Krishna given me this inspiration, or is it a trick of my mind? And you can check with Shastra. Does this insight, can it be found, any support be found as Shastra Praman? And we check with Guru. What has the Acharyas explained on this topic? And if there is confirmation, it is not contradicting the teachings of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, then you say, oh, this is a nice inspiration given to me by Krishna, by Krishna's grace. I was asking the question and then some guidance was given. When we pray, we can also, when we do seva, we can experience this phenomenon of Krishna empowering or inspiring us with insight. Book distributors, Sankirtan devotees, they will experience this very often, that they are praying and praying and praying, and then some miracle happens and they'll say, oh, Krishna has arranged. One devotee was telling me recently, he was on Sankirtan, and there was one young man, he didn't look in good consciousness. He looked like he had been through lots of struggle in life, probably with the law as well. And so this devotee approached, he thought he can help him. This is a book, it will help you. And this man, he looked at the devotee and he said, I'm a sinner. This isn't for me. I'm a very sinful man. And so the devotee told me, he says, I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know where these words came from. I said to him, every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. And the man stopped and he said, give me the book. Every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. That man was filled with hope. Oh, maybe I have a future. I can be a saint. I will take the book. What is the donation? But that devotee said to me, I don't know where those words came from. They were not my words. And since then I have said them many times, but at that moment, that soul needed to hear those words. And I was the one who was there in front of him. And so Krishna used me to say the right things for that soul. So every Sankirtan devotee will have experienced this, but not only. If you're singing kirtan, you might experience this. Krishna is giving you some inspiration. If you're dressing Radha Gopi Chanda Vallabha, you might experience Krishna gives you some inspiration. How to dress them in a way that you didn't know how to do, But Krishna has empowered you when you're cooking, when you're any service you do, anything you do in the world, you can be guided by Krishna. If you are prayerful and if you are open to that guidance and you're asking to be guided as an instrument in Krishna's service. Prabhupada's also mentioned about the mind. He says, Brahma, he is been told by Krishna, cast off your body. The verse, we'll read again. The Lord, who can distinctly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, cast off this impure body of yours. Thus commanded by the Lord Brahma cast off his body. But then Prabhupada, he writes, according to Sridhar Swami, Brahma's constant dropping of his body does not refer to as actually giving up his body. Rather, he suggests that Brahma gave up a particular mentality. The mind is the subtle body of the living entity. We may sometimes be absorbed in some thought which is sinful, but if we give up the sinful thought, it may be said that we have given up the body. And so the mind is very powerful. The mind is very, very powerful. And so it can be, the power of the mind can be destructive, a destructive force in your life, and it can be a constructive or creative force in your life. Therefore, your mind can be your worst enemy. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, it can also be your best friend. What's the difference? When your mind is uncontrolled, unconstrained, uncontained, not directed, but it is itself leading you, you are following your mind everywhere. The mind is chanchalas, moving here and there, and you're following it without any direction, then it can be very destructive. And you can engage in self-sabotage because your mind is always there with different thoughts. Even you will be criticizing others, so that person is say the mind will give some judgment. That person is foolish, that person is stupid, that person is weak, that person. And so or the mind is saying, oh, that person is very beautiful, I would like to have them. That person is this, that person is wealthy, I will be their friend. The mind is always judging and scheming. Chattering, even as I'm speaking, your minds are also speaking to you. Which one are you listening to, me or your mind that is making these judgments? First thing is to be aware that this mind, if uncontrolled, like the mind can be jealous, the mind can be envious, the mind can be greedy and proud. That is not the soul, that is the mind, the conditioning that covers the soul. And when we identify with this, it is a destructive force. And it can have devastating effects. Therefore, we must be giving direction to the mind. I'm trying to be a Vaishnava. I don't criticize others. I'm trying to be a Vaishnava. I will see the good qualities in others. And I will highlight that. I'm trying to be a Vaishnava. And I see in that person a spirit soul who's worthy of my respect and my love. And so like this, with buddhi and with good guidance of Shastra, we can train the mind to think differently. We can train the mind to see different things than would otherwise be the case. We can train the mind to change its what it notices and what it brings attention to. And so that is the discipline of the ashram. Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, any ashram, there must be discipline. And so that discipline is disciplining the mind. to, with good guidance and good direction, to be uplifting rather than degrading. And so Brahma's mind, Prabhupada says it is out of control. It says that Brahma's mind was not in correct order when he created the demons. When our mind is not in correct order, we will create demons. We will say things that are blasphemous and they are hurtful. The mind is envious and we hold that idea and we let it germinate and get bigger and bigger like a dragon. And those thoughts, they cause tension and strain in our relationships. We will say something, even something sweet, but the dragon of envy and greed and lust will be hovering over it. And so the person will be feeling discomfort. The words are sweet, but the feeling is something else. So Brahma's mind is creating demons here, and we must be careful that our minds are also not allowed to create these demons, these destructive demons. In Chinese wisdom, they actually believe these thoughts become dragons. But here we see in the Bhagavatam as well, Brahma's mental state that is creating these different ghosts and goblins and demons, and they are attacking him. Very instructive for us, because those demons of anger and envy and pride, we cast them at others, but they come back for us, like Kashiraj. Kashiraj, he had a friend. His name was Pondraka. Pondraka, a little bit of a crazy fellow, right? He thought Krishna is faking to be Vishnu, and everyone is glorifying him. And he thought it's a good gig. Everyone glorifies him. So I will do it as well, and I will challenge Krishna. So he sent a letter to Dwarka. He says, hey, I'm the real Vasudeva. You stop pretending, and you give me back my Sudarshan and my Goladaki and my other paraphernalia. I am the real Vasudeva. You are an impostor. People should worship me. So this Pondraka, he was a king, but he was staying with his friend in Kashi, who was Kashiraj, the king of Kashi. He's his follower. Yeah, crazy religious leader, and then who thinks he's God. We have them now also, yeah. And then he has some wealthy patron who's his follower, blind leading the blind. So he's sponsoring this Pondraka, starting their new religion. And so Krishna, he went to Kashi on Garuda, actually. Was it? No, he went and he with his chariot, he went to Kashi. And Pondraka came out on the battlefield with his Kashiraj follower. And Krishna said, Pondraka, you want my gada? You want my chakra? He saw this fellow, he has like fake arms. 2 fake arms, and he's like Vishnu, and the real Vasudeva. Some blue paint on his body. And so Krishna, he said, you want my chakra? Come, I'm sending it for you. And he severed his head. So Kashiraj was very upset after this, and he did a yajna, and he invoked a demon. He engaged some tantric Brahmins, and they created a fire demon to go to Dwarka and kill Krishna. And so this fiery demon rose up from the Yagya pit, from the Yagya Kund, and started moving to Dwarka, and causing great heat and destruction as it went along the path. People were very, very afraid. And as it approached Krishna, the people ran to Dwarka, the people ran to Krishna. There's some fire coming. It's destroying everything. So Krishna, he sent Sudarshan, you go and deal with this. And Sudarshan chased the fire demon back to Kashi. And it has to have some effect, yeah? The demon has been sent, the arrow has been sent, the sword has been drawn, it must draw blood. But it cannot do anything to Krishna. So it came back to Kashiraj and killed him and destroyed his city as well. And that's what happens with these. You create these demons, they will catch something. And if they're not catching there, they will come back and bite you, devour you. And Brahma's experiencing this. These demons, they are attacking him in a most violent way, a most revolting way, actually. They are chasing him for sex. So he's very, very distressed, agitated. So the instruction for us, control the mind, go Swami, control the senses. Controlling the senses, that's with controlling the mind. Give your mind good thoughts. When you find your mind in entertaining thoughts of envy and lust and anger and pride, stop it. When even this chatter, even when you're criticizing yourself, you can also stop it there. Because those thoughts, they become habits, mental habits. The lust, it becomes a mental habit. And as we allow it to be entertained, it will become a physical habit as well. What we think in our mind, we will say with our mouth. Even if we try to cover it, in English we have the expression Freudian slip. Freudian slip. Freudian slip. That's when you say something that you say something that's in your mind, then you realize, oh, I shouldn't have said that. You regret. The moment it comes out of your mouth, you regret, oh, sorry. Because you're trying to cover, you're trying to hold it back, but then sometimes it comes out. So the thoughts become our words become our actions become our character. Apparently Gandhi said that, I'm not sure. There are different authors that are attributed to that quote. The mind is also can be a friend, Krishna says. So what do we do? If we give the mind good direction, it can be very healthy. So meditation is to give the mind a good thought. Think of Krishna. Hear Harinam. When Brahma told Rudra, you're destroying everything, you go and meditate. Go and meditate. Make yourself shanta, make yourself peaceful. And so when we sit to chant japa, the mind is very disturbed. But after a time, it becomes peaceful. When we read Shastra, the mind is given some food for thought. Yeah, chew on this, mind. Engage with these ideas. And then when we go and see the world, we will be seen as Shastra Chakshus. And when we want to do some seva, we can also be thinking in our mind how to do that seva. Manasa seva. Manasa seva is for Krishna and Vrindavan, but it can also be in terms of how you want to please Prabhupada's mission. What is your vision? What are you trying to achieve for Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha? Start with the mind. Everything is created at least twice first in the mind and then physically. When Prabhupada was, famous story, yeah? Prabhupada is sitting in the park in New York City, and someone comes to him and says, "Who are you?" "I'm Bhaktivedanta Swami." "What do you do?" "I am the leader of an international society for Krishna consciousness." Prabhupada had nothing at that time. "Oh, what is that?" "Yeah, we have temples all over the world. We have thousands of devotees. We have books. We have translated the Bhagavatam into the languages of the world, and we are publishing as books. We have schools, ashrams." The man asked, "Where can I see these things?" "They are not yet manifest." But Prabhupada had the vision. In his mind, it was there. So you can engage your mind positively by visioning for Krishna. You vision the uncontrolled mind, those visions, they will create dragons, demons. But you vision for Krishna, consciously direct the mind. So first creation in the mind. Second creation. The mind is subtle material nature. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. Yeah. So when you create something in the mind, already it is manifesting in the subtle material nature. If you take a pen and paper, now it's starting to manifest in physical nature. Yeah, just as a pen, as a diagram. If you type it out or write it out, now it has been manifest as words. So you are manifesting already on the physical plane, from the mental to the physical. With some time, more effort and energy and prayer and guidance, direction, then you can manifest it further as bricks and as earth and fire and water as a physical offering in physical space. But that is the mind is very powerful. And so yogis, they're giving direction to the mind. That's for manifestation in the material world, but the same principle it applies as preparing for the spiritual world as well. And so advanced devotees, they're doing Manasa Seva for Krishna and Vrindavan. And they are disconnecting from the material reality, from the material body, and they're crossing over into the spiritual reality by this internal Manasik Seva. That is for us at a later stage. Last point. Prabhupada has referenced then this it follows that any father or mother should be careful while begetting children. The mental condition of the child depends on the mental status of the parents at the time he is conceived. According to the Vedic system, therefore, the Garbhodana Samskara, or ceremony for giving birth to a child, is observed. So this instruction, particularly for grahastas, we can also, I will be broad as well, because not everyone here is grahasta. There's also brahmacharis here. When we are giving birth, when we are giving birth, our consciousness at that time of conception, it will influence the consciousness of the offspring. It will attract a particular soul. And so therefore, Prabhupada is making this point. Brahma's consciousness is not good. And so these destructive entities are being created. And so therefore, there's a warning for grahastas. When you conceive, make sure you have elevated consciousness. Prabhupada's instruction was chant 50 rounds before to prepare the mind. Otherwise, traditionally, there is some other samskara ritual that can be performed as well. Some specific mantras to be chanted, some specific ritual. Prabhupada uses the analogy of, okay, how do we do this? Prabhupada uses the analogy of conception of Krishna in discussing Krishna's appearance in the 10th canto, first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He says that Krishna is appearing from the heart of Vasudeva and transferred to the heart of Devaki. And then he's manifesting from her heart as from her womb as Vishnu. So it is a transcendental conception that is taking place. And then Prabhupada compares this to Vaishnava Diksha, to preaching. He says Vaishnava Diksha, or we will also say preaching, it is a heart-to-heart process. Krishna, in the heart of the devotee, is transferred to the heart of another soul. Yes, he's already there as Paramatma, but he's not invited there to be present in the life of a jiva soul as a friend and as Bhakta Vatsala, the protector of his devotee. As Paramatma, he is in Shanta, neutrality. But when he is invited to be present, he says, shining with the lamp of knowledge, I enter into the heart of my devotee and destroy the darkness of ignorance. For whom does he do this? He does this for those who engage in remembering him, glorifying him, serving him in the company of devotees. So why is he doing this again? He's already there as Paramatma. No, he's coming as Krishna, with whom you can have a loving relationship as a friend, as a master, as a lover, as a parent, or as a child. So this personal relationship with Krishna, it is available to the soul that requests Krishna's presence. But how do we get the sense to say, Krishna Tomarahana, Krishna, I am yours? Only by the mercy of Vaishnavas. So when we preach, we must have this consciousness of preaching from the heart to share Krishna with others. When we speak Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, when we distribute books, when we share the holy name. If we want to share Krishna with this soul and not just take a donation, when we want to share Krishna with the soul and not just use Krishna's words to beat somebody on the head, make them surrender and get some glory for making devotees or whatever the case may be. When we want Krishna to manifest in this soul's heart, then our chanting, our teaching, our preaching must also be from the heart. Otherwise, something else may happen. The conception will not be the manifestation of the Lord. The conception will be the manifestation of our own pride, of our own ego. So that is the caution. And that's unfortunate because this soul could have received Krishna's mercy, but instead there has been a counterfeit. That is the caution. Sadhu Shabdan, Vaishnava, beware. So our consciousness when we engage in seva is important. It is significant. Even if it is Harinam, even if it is Bhagavatam, Bahujanma Kadiyadi, Shavana Kirtan, Taputana Pai Krishna, Hari Prematam. One can chant for many lifetimes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. But if one is committing aparad, then we will not get the fruits of prema bhakti, the fruits of love of Godhead. Look, there is the caution to us. For grahastas, we apply it practically in terms of conception, but for all of us, We can also see this in terms of preaching. Prabhupada has used that analogy, and we can keep that in mind as a caution for the intention that we have as we preach and as we serve in that way. Okay, so today we have discussed this verse of Brahma receiving some guidance from Krishna. Cast off this impure body of yours. And we have spoken of 3 topics. We discussed Paramatma in the heart as the super consciousness from whom we can receive guidance. He is already giving knowledge, remembrance, forgetfulness, often unconsciously, but we can also connect with Paramatma consciously. We can ask questions and we can receive guidance and inspiration in practical ways. But if you have that opportunity, then best to use it for the transcendental domain. We've also discussed the mind and the power of the mind as a potential destructive force that creates demons that will come back to burn us and cause us great distress, but also as a powerful force that can be used for good. Creatively, we can direct the mind and channel the power of the mind. We can reattune, we can train the mind positively to be uplifting and to be a purified mind, to see good, to cultivate good, but also to cultivate seva, to cultivate service by visioning service that can be offered to Krishna in this world and in the spiritual world as well. And then finally, we've also discussed this principle of conception and consciousness at conception having different effects. And we've discussed that practically, literally, but also figuratively in terms of preaching as well. So we are at time. Probably there are some reflections and questions that you have, and you can meditate on those, you can discuss with one another. What we will conclude here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktarinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
Mr. Prahalad ki jai. Your class at 11 o'clock came all the way, so we must all the way to take the start and come back and be present with the 11 o'clock class. And all the questions you want to ask. First, let us express our gratitude to Sri Prabhupada. Loudly chant the Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.
Actually, now, if you really ask me, next 1.5 hours, it will be question answer from me.
Right.
I have at least 3 or 4 questions myself. So, but please reserve your questions, and we should give some time to,
I know, yeah.
But maybe in the second session. Is that okay?
Let's see, we will talk.
Okay. So session starts at 11 o'clock, and we're going to take the start and come back.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Last.